BBC Sounds, your radio, TV and smart speaker. This is The Breakfast Show on BBC Radio Foyle.
Hello there, good morning everybody. It is 8 o'clock on Friday the 21st of April. The headlines this morning. The niece of the late journalist Lyra McKee says 4 years on from her killing, her family remain hopeful for justice.
The documentary going out on Channel 4, I do feel that someone is going to watch that and that's going to trigger someone who has information that is going to be integral to our case.
We're going to hear from Laura Corner McKee very shortly, and the breakfast show on Radio Foyle will end this morning and will be replaced with a new 30-minute news programme from Monday.
Good morning. It's Elaine, McGee and myself, David Hunter. We're with you until 9 o'clock this morning, along with Oren Crumley, who's all your sport.
Manchester United crash out of the Europa League, and Derry City have announced Paddy McLaughlin as their new assistant manager ahead of tonight's trip to Cork.
He's on the bus. We'll have the first interview on Paddy McLaughlin's return to Derry City very shortly. But also this morning, as a week of religious events marking the life and legacy of the late Derry nun, Sister Claire Crockett, take place. Her sister Teresa remembers.
Our Claire wanted to be an actress. Our Claire wanted to go to Hollywood and have her name in lights. And never, when she came back and said she was going to be a nun, I said to my mammy, she's not wise.
Stay with us for the next hour for that and so much more. You can get in touch with the programme today as well. And as always, BBC Radio Foyle is on Twitter and Facebook. You can text 81771 or send us a message on WhatsApp on 0300 123 1001. Let's get the news now with Jerry Bradley.
The niece of the late journalist Lyra McKee says her family remain hopeful for justice 4 years on from the killing. Lyra was 29 when she was shot dead by the new IRA during rioting in Craigan in 2019. The former US President Bill Clinton and the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak paid tribute to her this week during events to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. Laura Corner McKee says she hopes a documentary about Lyra's life will bring forward new information about the case.
The documentary going out on Channel 4, I do feel that someone is going to watch that, or someone else is going to watch it and tell someone else about it. And that's going to trigger someone who has information that is going to be integral to our case to come forward. And well, that's what we're really hopeful for, I think. But I'm hopeful, still very, very hopeful that that documentary is going to get us the information.
The breakfast show on BBC Radio Foyle will end today after 13 years on air. It'll be replaced by a 30-minute programme from Monday. Anna Curran has the details.
The 2-hour breakfast show covered some of the biggest news stories in the Northwest for over a decade, garnering multiple awards for its journalism. From Monday, Good Morning Ulster will be broadcast on Radio Foyle until 8:30. Then Radio Foyle will have a half-hour news programme called The Northwest Today. It's part of a number of changes to the schedule, which will also see the Mark Patterson show move to the earlier time of 12 o'clock. The Hugo Duncan show will also broadcast from Radio Foyle studios from 1:30. Hourly news bulletins on Radio Foyle will continue Monday to Friday. The decision to reduce news output on Radio Foyle sparked a public campaign which saw political leaders lobby BBC bosses to rethink their plans. BBC Northern Ireland director Adam Smith has said the changes reflect the commitment to Foyle as a production centre for local and region-wide output. The NUJ say 10 staff currently remain at risk of redundancy. The BBC said it expects staffing levels to remain unchanged.
Opposition parties have accused the Prime Minister of dither and delay in making a decision about the fate of his deputy Dominic Raab. Rishi Sunak is considering the findings of an investigation into complaints of bullying against Mr Raab. The report, conducted by a senior lawyer, was handed to Number 10 yesterday morning. Our political correspondent Jonathan Blake has more.
At Westminster, the wait goes on. The Prime Minister alone must decide whether the report by Adam Tolley KC, prompted by complaints about Dominic Raab last November, proves that he broke the ministerial code. It states that bullying will not be tolerated. Although Downing Street had promised a swift decision, we're told Rishi Sunak was taking time to go through the findings thoroughly, and there's no guarantee his verdict will be announced today. Mr Raab, who has always denied accusations of bullying, has also seen the report and, it seems, is not ready to resign.
Finally, the local charity Foyle Search and Rescue has called on the government to invest more money in mental health services. Around 100 volunteers are involved in the group's life-saving work on the River Foyle. Its charity manager, Christina McKeegan, says demand for the service is higher than ever.
Hopefully there'll be more focus from our government on suicide prevention, more funding for prevention methods. The government needs to put the money and do where it's needed at the minute, and that's people's mental health, and a lot more about awareness and a lot more about people speaking up and where they can get the help.
Christina McKeegan.
Jerry, thanks very much. It's 8:06. Good morning, everybody. You're so welcome along to the programme this morning. It's so good to have you here, and we're going to reflect a lot more on our last edition today throughout the next hour. But let's get all your sport first. Oran Crumley standing by. We're starting with Man United. Oran.
We are indeed. Good morning, Elaine. Starting with Manchester United, because they've crashed out of the Europa League at the hands of the Spanish side Sevilla, beaten 3-0 on the night and 5-2 on aggregate. Better in the Europa Conference League though for West Ham. Through to the semi-final, they beat Ghent 4-1 in London and 5-2 on aggregate. Derry City Football Club have announced that Paddy McLaughlin will become the club's new assistant manager. We'll hear from Paddy just after 8:30. The Candy Stripes and Paddy McLaughlin on the bus for their longest away day of the season, 612-mile round trip to take on Cork City. As always, live coverage right here on BBC Radio Foyle and on BBC Sound from 7:30. Kick-off in Cork 7:45. Big weekend of Gaelic games. 2 Ulster Senior Football Championship quarter-finals. Tomorrow, Cavan host Armagh at 6:30. On Sunday, Donegal off to Park Esler in Newry to take on Down, a game you can watch live on BBC 2 from 2 p.m. And in the snooker, Mark Allen in second round World Championship action in Sheffield. He leads Stuart Bingham 5-3 at the interval. Play in that game resumes this morning at 10 a.m.
Now, Cecilia's waiting to tell us how great the weather will be all weekend.
Certainly today, some gorgeous weather once again today. The northwest once again also placed to see the highest temperatures across Northern Ireland. So we're looking at a couple of degrees higher than yesterday. So 18 degrees is on the cards today. And there will obviously still be that keen easterly breeze, which will take the edge off things. But if you can get some shelter from that breeze, have it on your back. It will feel lovely later on. Still a bit chilly, mind you, at the moment, but temperatures will start to rise in the next hour. We are expecting more cloud this weekend, so it won't be as cold tonight, and there will be cloudier, slightly cooler weather across the northwest tomorrow. Maybe the odd shower, but still a fair bit of dry weather, it looks like. And then temperatures fall a little bit more on Sunday as the northerly wind kicks in, so it's going to feel much colder on Sunday and Monday with a few showers around, but there'll also be a bit of sunshine.
All right, see, thank you very much for that. It is 8:08 now, and our top story this morning, the niece of the late journalist Lyra McKee says 4 years on from her killing, her death still doesn't feel real, but her family remain hopeful for justice. Miss McKee was 29 when she was shot dead by dissident Republicans while observing rioting in Cregan in April 2019. Numerous tributes have been paid to Lyra this week during events marking the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement by political figures, including the Prime Minister and former US President Bill Clinton. Laura Corner McKee says she grew up alongside her Aunt Lyra, as they're only 6 years in age between them. And I've been speaking to Laura and started by asking about how Lyra's anniversary had been for the family 4 years on.
It really feels like no time has passed, but then so much time has passed, really. I still keep thinking that she's just going to run through my living room door to come and see my daughter, who she was very, very fond of and would have came and visited with every day. And it doesn't feel real still, even to this day. Because obviously there was no illness. She was never sick. She was taken from us. She didn't just die, like she was taken from us. So no, it definitely doesn't get any easier. But seeing all the love and support that people have for around her anniversary, and seeing that she is remembered by so many people in so many lovely ways, is a real comfort to myself and the rest of the family.
How do you mark the day? Is there something the family does in particular, or?
So we will go to Lyra and my granny's grave. My daughter, she's 8. She actually calls it the sleeping garden. So we'll go to the sleeping garden that day. And it actually also happens to be my brother's birthday on Lyra's anniversary. And this year was particularly difficult for him because he turned 30, and obviously Lyra didn't make it to 30. So particularly hard this year.
Lyra, of course, all this week and last week too, of course, but there's been so much focus and attention on the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, and we had many politicians at Queen's and here in the city over the past week, and Lyra's name continuously comes up. She was honoured for her work as well. How does that feel, Laura? What's that been like?
So I think we've been very cautious of using the word celebration for the 25th anniversary because obviously for us and for a lot of people in Northern Ireland, obviously Lyra's the 160th casualty since the Good Friday Agreement was signed. Yes, there is a lot to be commemorated, but I don't think we're just there yet for celebration because obviously there's a lot still to do. It was a massive, massive honour for my mum to go and receive an award from Secretary Clinton at Queen's this week, because obviously it's remembering her in such a significant way alongside all these other really influential women who've been such an integral part of the peace over the last 25 years, and having Lyra alongside them is really quite poignant, I think.
Roman candles are burning in the night. Yeah, you are a shining light.
I'm not sure if you've seen the lovely tribute Tim Wheeler from Ash. He dedicated Shining Light, the band's song, to her at the Guildhall.
The Guildhall, yes.
On her anniversary as well. What did you think of that?
Amazing. We weren't expecting that at all. Obviously we had met with President Clinton on the Saturday, and he had spoken stuff then about her, but we definitely weren't expecting to have such a poignant tribute there. And I think it happening in the Guildhall, it happening in Derry was even more poignant to have it, obviously, because that's where we lost her. Really for it to sing out to say, like, the people of Derry are for Lyra. I think having that, it's a really significant moment to have, especially to have it happen in Derry.
Are you still hopeful for justice, Laura? And I ask that question mindful of ongoing court proceedings, and we won't talk about anything that would prejudice that, but is your family still hopeful of justice for Lyra?
Absolutely. And I actually do believe that the documentary going out on Channel 4, I do feel that someone is going to watch that, or someone else is going to watch it and tell someone else about it. And that's going to trigger someone who has information that is going to be integral to our case to come forward. And well, that's what we're really hopeful for, I think. But I'm hopeful, still very, very hopeful, that documentary is going to get us the information for the gunman to be prosecuted. Absolutely. I no doubt in my mind.
And just finally, Laura, what do you hope Lyra's legacy will be, and what people will know about her?
For me, I really do believe that Lyra's legacy is what Northern Ireland can be. I do. I think if we were able to get past where we are now, if we were able to get integrated education up and running, if we were able to get investment in Northern Ireland, if we were able to get past where we are and have an actual functioning government, I do believe that we'll be able to get the peace that the people of Northern Ireland deserve, and that is Lyra's legacy. This place getting the peace that it deserves. And I hope that Lyra's writings continue to inspire people daily to be able to push for that, to want more, to be able to push to have a better life here.
That's Laura Corner McKee, the niece of the late Lyra McKee, speaking to me. And sincere thanks to Laura for taking the time to do that. And, as we reflect this morning on significant moments on this programme, that's certainly one that will always live with me, the news of Lyra's killing emerging that morning. But again, sincere thanks to Laura Corner McKee for speaking to us today.
Just a reminder of today's headlines. The Secretary of State, Chris Eaton-Harris, could set a budget for Northern Ireland in the absence of a Stormont executive as early as next week. Opposition parties have accused the Prime Minister of dither and delay in making a decision about the fate of his deputy, Dominic Raab. And the breakfast show on BBC Radio Foyle will come to an end this morning. It's being replaced with a new 30-minute news programme from 8:30 on Monday morning.
We're going to reflect more on, I suppose, everything that's we have covered on the programme, and just the joy of having you along with us every day over the past, well over 10 years I've been working on this programme now. So we'll talk about that more shortly. You've been getting in touch this morning. Joan's been in touch today. Sad day for me and lots of listeners to Radio Foyle News, as this will be our last day to hear the news from yourselves. I and many others listen from 7am to 8:30am in the house and in the car driving to work. So, thanks for that, Joan, and thanks for always listening to us.
Not everyone agrees, and all views are welcome on this programme. As always, it's the joy of the BBC. But another listener who doesn't give their name says 2 hours of repeat finally coming to an end. So as always, we thank you for listening and for getting in touch. Keep them coming, 81771. Now, hundreds of people have been taking part all this week in a series of events which was become an annual sort of week celebration to mark the life and the legacy of the late Derry nun, Sister Claire Crockett. Sister Claire was just 33 when she died in a collapsed school in Ecuador in 2016. And our reporter Teresa Craig has been taking a look back on her life with her sister Shauna Gill and Father Gerard Mongan.
I'm actually from the north of Ireland, from a wee town called Derry beside Belfast. I grew up in a Catholic family.
She definitely wasn't Sister Claire then. She was always the boss in our house. Great big sister, but the boss. Liked to tell us what to do. So, and everything was about acting. She was always dramatic. So Claire going away to be a nun was a big shock for everybody.
Is it fair to say that she was a bit of a character?
Oh, a big character. She was full of life, and she was a big character in everybody's life. Everybody that met Claire loved her. As a teenager, loved just what every teenager loved, out and about and out at the weekend, worked for it on a Saturday and went out on a Saturday night, loved it. But you know what, the three of us got on great and we were all friends as well as sisters.
I didn't pray, I didn't know who Mary was, I didn't know that Jesus had died on the cross for me. I remember when I was little I would tell my mommy, Mom, when I'm older I'm going to go to Hollywood. She's like, that's nice, honey, but you know.
And then when did you see the change, or when did you see that she may turn to the church or become a nun?
Never in a million years. We used to be sent to Mass and we daubed Mass, stole the money from that was supposed to go in the basket, and her and Megan, my older sister, used to smoke the money. No, our Claire wanted to be an actress. Our Claire wanted to go to Hollywood and have her name in lights. And never, when she came back and said she was going to be a nun, I said to my mammy, she's not wise. She's made it holiday rep out there and she's going to come back in a couple of weeks. We're heartbroken. But she proved us all wrong, and she was the happiest I've ever seen her in my life.
You know, did you take it seriously? Were you concerned about her?
No, we thought she was unwise. We thought, our Claire's lost her mind here. What's going on? It's our Claire. And none, not a chance. When we were younger, we were taught we nuns weren't young and lively the way our Claire was. She actually did get this call. Unless you hear somebody's story about their calling, you would never in a million years believe it.
Because I know, I certainly have never had it, and I don't know about you, but when you don't get it, you know too.
No, I never had the call. No, thank God.
And then take me to the moment that you got the word that no sister or no mother or father will want to get, and that was that Claire had been killed in that earthquake.
It was devastating. I don't think I've ever heard the scream. I'll never forget it from my mammy and my daddy. We then had the task of trying to get Claire's body home. We told them when she was missing, she's coming home when she's found. My mammy knew from the minute I told her she was missing. She said, Claire's dead, I know she's dead, and we want her home.
And how does it impact on you, Shauna, as a family? Because your mum and dad have also passed away, haven't they?
They were just heartbroken. They were never ever the same after it. Although we got Claire home, we never got any closure. We never seen her. My mum and daddy didn't get to see her. So that in itself's heartbreaking.
This retreat that has been ongoing now for 3 years, It's gained momentum. We've had Andrea Corr in the city.
So the retreat came about, it was just an idea. We have a wee committee who are unbelievable. They're so devoted to our Clare, as is everybody in the town and worldwide. And it's just been a huge success. So Andrea Corr, she came to speak. She's just been inspired so much by Clare. She had that big lifestyle of being famous that Clare wanted, and now she wants the quiet life, and not to be a nun, but she doesn't want to be the centre of attention all the time.
Don't be afraid to crawl. Never when you walk, sometimes
Fit in like a Derry girl, basically, is what you're telling me.
Oh, she did, surely. She was just as comfortable as me and you sitting here, and was a bar, and she did a great tribute to Clare and how she's inspired her, and then she sang one of Clare's favourite songs.
Father Jared Mongan, ADM, Long Tower Parish. She just was bubbly, full of life, and just radiated that joy, that sense of joy and prayer, but at the same time enjoyed the fun with other people as well, and tried to bring others to God through her sense of humour and sense of fun and her ordinariness.
And this retreat has been, it's fair to say, a huge success. Absolutely. Tell me a bit about that.
Started on Monday, and every morning, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the masses have been fairly full. 7 o'clock remarkably full for that hour of the morning, and in the evening the place is full, and hundreds of people are coming out to this, young and old, families. She's a local girl from a local family, and that has an appeal to a lot of people here in the city. Long Tower is rocking.
It's rocking. My goodness, strong words. Do you think that that Clare's done wonders then for the local parish by the sounds of it?
Definitely, and I would say people are looking for miracles, looking for cures, looking for healing, and Sister Clare is attracting a lot of people back to the faith, and I think that's remarkable, and it's going to stand in her favour in terms of her canonisation process. We pray every evening for Sister Clare to be officially recognised as a saint.
What do you think she means for the people of Derry?
Oh, she means everything to them. She's one of their own, and you know what we're like, we're one of our own. And there's nothing like that. There's nothing like the Derry people. But she's done so much for the Derry people, and they're just so proud of her.
The Long Tower Rock concerts continue until Sunday evening, I believe, as part of that retreat in memory of Sister Clare Crockett. And you heard there just some of the reasons why so many people in the city have really taken Sister Clare to heart.
Absolutely. Teresa Craig reporting there, who was very clear in that she hadn't got her call yet.
Not yet.
You never know. It is 8:23 now. Other news this morning. Rishi Sunak is being accused of dithering over a report into allegations of bullying made against his deputy, Dominic Raab. The findings of an inquiry were delivered to Number 10 yesterday morning, but so far there's been no announcement about Mr Raab's future. The Deputy Prime Minister has said he's not a bully and makes no apologies for having high standards. Our political correspondent, Ione Wells, is outside Downing Street this morning.
We still don't know when we are going to get the Prime Minister's decision or a copy of this report to look at ourselves. It's been nearly 24 hours since Rishi Sunak first received it. Him and his team have been poring over the details of that report. There has been criticism about the delay in making a decision. Remember that Dominic Raab knows the names of the people in the Ministry of Justice who have made complaints about him. Civil servants who have been represented by some of the unions in the last 24 hours have had the unions say that this delay is only making them more anxious. However, we know that this is a 5-month investigation, that dozens of people have given evidence, ranging from complainants to supporters of Dominic Raab to some of the top civil servants who he ran departments with. So it's likely that the Prime Minister will want to really go over some of that detail, because the decision he has to make is a blunt one: keep him or sack him. And there is potential jeopardy for Rishi Sunak and, of course, Dominic Raab either way. If he decides to sack him, that could raise further questions about Rishi Sunak's prior judgment, whether he should have been more probing about Dominic Raab's reputation before reappointing him to government, even if he wasn't aware of any formal complaints. If he decides to keep him, then that risks potential turmoil at the Ministry of Justice, the prospect of alleged victims speaking out or even resigning or moving roles. So I think the stakes for Rishi Sunak as well as Dominic Raab are very high.
Ione Wells reporting there. Eagerly waited report for many political journalists. Hopefully will arrive today.
Yeah.
We'll be able to update you on our news at 1 as well.
8:26 now. If you are just joining us this morning, it is the last edition of The Breakfast Show this morning. And yeah, it's a chance to reflect with you all really on some of certainly our standout moments down through the years. And over the years on The Breakfast Show, you'll have heard hundreds, if not thousands of voices. But few are as memorable and instantly recognisable as our own Anita Robinson's was. With her quick wit and turn of phrase, she put the world to rights in her Monday morning reflection for many years, until Anita sadly passed away in 2022. She was such a big part of the show and a big part of the Radio Foyle family, and we couldn't let today go by without hearing her on The Breakfast Show one last time. And our Anita never held back.
And finally, the post-winter state of our roads is making headlines in the local press. In some places, it's like riding over cobbles on a bicycle. I've lost count of the number of times the 3 potholes at the John Street roundabout have been mended. In a matter of weeks, they're as bad as ever, and the volume of traffic is frequently so great it's impossible to avoid them. But it's the streets and roads unfamiliar to me that I dread. I have a certain sympathy for the road service, who are doing their best despite short-term and seriously inadequate funding for road maintenance. I'm intrigued to learn that there are certain criteria regarding the size and depth the pothole has to be in order to get immediate attention. Never mind what it's doing to my elderly and arthritic wee Fiesta. Wait till the claims unit gets a bill from me for damage to my very expensive dental implants.
You can hear me laughing at the end of that there. I loved Anita's Monday reflection so much. She would never fail. You'd be either nodding or, like laughing, having a wee laugh at the end. And always will remember her little champagne flute of water that was always like placed on the desk. And yeah, I really miss her. That was Anita Robinson there, putting the world to rights in her own inimitable style. Only Anita's.
Thinking a little bit this morning about our own favourite bits as well. Now, I've only been here for about 3 years. You've been here a bit longer than that, so quite a task. Have you found one?
I do. I have loads. I'm sorry, everyone. This is a bit self-indulgent, so bear with me. But it is truly now, when I think back, just a sort of a special time on The Breakfast Show for me. So let's go back to spring 2020, peak pandemic. I was so pregnant. Oh my God. I was just like this little penguin waddling around my house, broadcasting from the front room in my house every morning. Used to be on with you guys. It was just great. And one morning, I was chatting to the very lovely Reverend Judy McGaffin when I had a wee visitor. Just a quick word before we go that our story with Donegal defender Deirdre Foley, that's going to be coming up on our News at 1 programme. And you might have heard there, we have a little visitor. This is Finn. He's come to say hello to everyone this morning. We're on the radio. Say hello.
I got to go, Mummy.
Somebody ran away from Dad. Oh well, that's my little boy, Finn. Say hello. Hope everybody doesn't mind. Oh, I shouldn't have played that. I'm really going to cry now. But no, he was just 3 there, and it was so funny that morning. I was chatting away to Judy, and you could hear this in the background, dunk, 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 and I was like, oh no. When small children attack, and he just burst into the room. But it was so lovely. But even that whole time, it was really hard because we were basically like just stuck in the house because I was pregnant and you couldn't really go anywhere either. And every day for those 2 hours, I love talking to you all. It was just such joy. It was like just a window out onto the world, you know. And people used to say, "Oh, Radio Foyle's doing such a good job of keeping us informed." But I was like, I can't believe this is my job, you know. So
and then the little, I need to go.
I know, it was timed perfectly. I've read well. It was coming up to 9 o'clock, 8:59. But yeah, that is one of my happiest breakfast show memories for sure.
Well, lots of you have been in touch all morning throughout the past couple of weeks as things have obviously developed here. We've seen all your comments. We've loved all your comments, but you've kept them coming this morning. Paul has said, I've really enjoyed listening to Radio Foyle every morning on this way to work. Very warm, engaging presenters. Real life affection for local stories. Sorry to hear about the changes. We will miss the programme.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, we will have a new programme on Monday from 8:30. We hope that you will join us from that, because we can't do what we do without all of you, without you telling us your stories and without you listening to us and engaging with us. So keep that coming. We'll be back on Monday at 8:30 with a new half-hour news programme. It will be called The Northwest Today. So do keep in touch, because we really can't do it without you.
On BBC Sounds, your radio, TV and smart speaker, this is The Breakfast Show on BBC Radio Foyle.
Still to come between now and 9 o'clock on the programme, more funding cuts to education here. We're going to hear from a local principal and a teachers' union on what that means for schools. And shortly in sport, Derry City prepare for their longest away day of the season as they go to Cork City. It's becoming a catchphrase for new assistant manager Paddy McLaughlin on the bus. It's gone 8:30. Let's get the news with Jerry Bradley.
The niece of the late journalist Lyra McKee says her family remain hopeful for justice 4 years on from the killing. Lyra was 29 when she was shot dead by the new IRA during rioting in Cregan in 2019. The former US President Bill Clinton and the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak have paid tribute to her this week during events to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. Laura Corner McKee says she hopes a documentary about Lyra's life will bring forward new information about the case.
The documentary going out on Channel 4, I do feel that someone is going to watch that, or someone else is going to watch it and tell someone else about it. And that's going to trigger someone who has information that is going to be integral to our case to come forward. And well, that's what we're really hopeful for, I think. But I'm hopeful, still very, very hopeful that that documentary is going to get us the information.
The multi-award winning breakfast show on BBC Radio Foyle will end today after 13 years on air. It'll be replaced by a 30-minute programme from Monday. Anna Curran has the details.
The 2-hour breakfast show covered some of the biggest news stories in the Northwest for over a decade, garnering multiple awards for its journalism. From Monday, Good Morning Ulster will be broadcast on Radio Foyle until 8:30. Then Radio Foyle will have a half-hour news programme called The Northwest Today. It's part of a number of changes to the schedule, which will also see the Mark Patterson show move to the earlier time of 12 o'clock. The Hugo Duncan show will also broadcast from Radio Foyle studios from 1:30. Hourly news bulletins on Radio Foyle will continue Monday to Friday. The decision to reduce news output on Radio Foyle sparked a public campaign which saw political leaders lobby BBC bosses to rethink their plans. BBC Northern Ireland director Adam Smith has said the changes reflect the commitment to Foyle as a production centre for local and region-wide output. The NUJ say 10 staff currently remain at risk of redundancy. The BBC said it expects staffing levels to remain unchanged.
Opposition parties are accusing the Prime Minister of delaying a decision on whether to sack his deputy and close ally Dominic Raab. Rishi Sunak was given the results of a 5-month investigation into bullying allegations against Mr Raab yesterday morning. Finally, prosecutors in the US say they haven't absolved Alec Baldwin of criminal culpability, even though they've dropped charges against him over the fatal shooting of a colleague on set in October 2021. Filming of the Western resumed yesterday.
Jerry, thanks very much for that. 8:33. Quick look at the weather. Dry and bright start to the day. Plenty of sunshine. Get out and enjoy it. Highs of 14 to 17 degrees.
Now, Owen Crummy is back with all your sport.
Yes, Elaine, good morning. Starting with the football, Manchester United out of the Europa League after slumping to a 3-0 defeat away in Sevilla. The Spanish side benefited from some poor defending to go 5-2 up on aggregate, and United are back in action against Brighton in Sunday's FA Cup semi-final, and manager Erik ten Hag, he wants a response.
I think we showed in the past we can bounce really quickly back. We did it between games. many times now this season. But what we have to learn is to start games better and with more desire and passion, more composure on the ball.
West Ham booked their second European semi-final in as many years, coming from behind to steal a stunning 5-2 aggregate victory over Ghent at the London Stadium last night. The big news from Brandywell: Derry City have confirmed Paddy McLaughlin as their new assistant manager. We'll hear from the man himself just after this sports bulletin. It is the longest trip of the season for Derry City tonight. They head to Turner's Cross to take on Cork City, just the 306 miles from Brandywell to the Cork venue, so not much mavs to say. A return journey of 612 miles. Derry seeking a first victory since March 31st, a 1-0 win at Shelbourne, and boss Rory Higgins knows it will not be easy away at Cork.
Alright, you've seen their last home game where they beat Dundalk, big crowd there, difficult place to go. They put you under pressure, they put long throws in the box, they put crosses in the box from everywhere, free kicks from the halfway line going to your box, so we know that we're going to have to put our bodies on the line. But lovely big pitch, and hopefully we can stamp our authority in the game and go down there and try and get control of it.
Full live coverage of the game as always right here on BBC Radio Foyle and BBC Sounds from 7:30. Kick-off in Cork 7:45. Eric White's in the car on the way, not on the team bus. Elsewhere in the Premier Division, Bows go to Drogheda, Shamrock Rovers take on Pats, Shelbourne host Dundalk tomorrow, Sligo welcome UCD. In the First Division, Finn Harps go to Wexford tonight. Action also in the Danske Bank Premiership, Larne against Linfield. Larne will receive the league title live on the BBC iPlayer. Tomorrow, big one in the Northern Ireland Championship, crucial game at the foot of the table. Institute, who currently occupy that relegation playoff spot, host Newington at 3 o'clock. In Gaelic games, the final two Ulster quarter-finals at Breffni Park tomorrow, Cavan and Armagh at 6:30. On Sunday in Park Esler, down against Donegal live on BBC 2 from 2 p.m. In the Christy Ring Cup hurling, Derry they welcome Sligo to Owen Beg on Sunday for a 3 p.m. start. And the second round action at the World Snooker Championships at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. Northern Ireland's Mark Allen, he leads Stuart Bingham 5-3 at the interval there, and play resumes in that one this morning at 10 a.m.
Owen, thanks very much. Well, as we heard there in the Sport with Owen, Paddy McLaughlin, the new assistant manager at Derry City. We hope he's on the bus. Let's hear from him.
Can I say, if someone texts in and says Paddy's getting a lift, he's going down the car to Cork, we're bothered.
Yeah, well, we hope he's on the bus, but let's hear from him. He's been chatting to Desi McCallion.
It was difficult in a sense that I was close to all the players up there. I was close to a lot of supporters, you know, and the club were brilliant for me. They gave me the opportunity 4.5 years ago to go up whenever nobody really knew too much about me or what I was about, and I appreciated that opportunity. So it was difficult in that sense of telling the club I was moving on, but the most difficult part of the lot was telling the players. You know, it was really tough conversation I had one, but fair play to them. You know, they understood where I was coming from, and they understood the opportunity that had been offered by Rory and Derry City, and they knew it was too good for me to turn down. So, you know, they understood my position, and it was a heavy hurt I left. To be honest, I was really disappointed and sad telling them that, but that's football. You know, opportunities don't come around too often. They work with such a club like Derry City, and certainly like a coach and young manager, and Rory Higgins. Look at the job he's done in the 2 years he's been here. So the opportunity, I was lucky enough to be offered it a second time, and the second time around, I wasn't prepared to let it pass me by.
Were you frightened it might never come again?
Well, it's always in your head, you know. You know it. Sometimes when you turn down opportunities, then they might come around again. But you know, that can be the risky tick in the game. And I was glad I turned it down, and looking back on it at the time, because look how well the club well done. You know, we ran Lumfield close last year. We won the League Cup and got ourselves into Europe. You know, so it was a good decision in the end up. But when it came around the second time, I wasn't for passing up a second time. Definitely not. And you look how well Rory has done, and the players that he's attracted to the club, and the success that they've had in his short time there. So coming on that environment and coming on that group, I can't wait to get started.
There were suggestions that maybe all wasn't well between you and the board, and maybe decisions weren't about playing staff maybe for next season were taken out of your hands. Did that in any way play a part in your decision?
No, look, there's no rumours, there's no foundation on any of that. The board have a strict budget they stick by, and that's the way it is. You know, there's our clubs in the division have somebody they run to when they need money and huge investment at our clubs, and I understood the role, understood what it was going on there before I went up, and from day one, and I understood how tight a ship we had to run. So there was no fallout, definitely not. I wouldn't want anybody to be thinking coming away with a grudge against anybody or nothing like that. Look, we all had our ambitions. They do as best we could, and I think that's what we stuck to. The players have been fantastic. The club backed me as best they could. But like I say, the opportunity to come to Derry City and my hometown club, it was too good to turn down. There was nothing outside of working with Rory and working for Derry City was appalling. It wasn't anything to do with any faults, definitely not.
You see the buzz about Derry, the way that things have happened since Rory has come in. They've won a cup, they're in European football this year, things are on the up. It's a good time to come to the club.
Exactly, that's a bigger pull for me than anything else. You know, the buzz around the town, everywhere you go, people's talking about how well the team's been doing, and you know how exciting the times are ahead. You know, Philip and the board have done an unbelievable job in the background, and Rory's done an unbelievable job on the pitch with his staff and with his players. You know, so like I say, coming on that environment now, I don't think the timing couldn't be any better for me. And that was the thing, that the last time the opportunity came, I just didn't feel the timing was right. But this time it feels as if it's exactly the time to come on, and you know, I can't wait to get started.
Was it made all the easier, the fact that you have a close personal relationship and a good friendship with Rory?
Look, I played his part, surely. You know, I keep in contact with him over the years. You know, even when he was still playing, and more recently when he's become a manager himself. You know, we bounce ideas off each other, even though we're working at different clubs. You know, and that friendship has never really changed, and I've stayed in close contact with him over the years. So, you know, it makes it a lot more comfortable getting into an environment where I know who I'm working for and what he's about, and not just him. You know, the staff is there. I've known quite a few of them. You know, I've worked with quite a few of them down the years at the playing level, and some of the players that are there, I know quite a number of them as well. So, you know, the environment is perfect for me to go into, and you know, we know there's a lot of hard work to be done. I know myself, there's a lot of hard work to be done, and that's the thing about we've got to roll our sleeves up and continue the hard work that they've done up until now, and hopefully add more to it, and hopefully see where you never know where it could take us coming into here.
So that's Paddy McLaughlin, the new Derry City assistant manager, speaking to Desi McCallion.
And there's full coverage of the Cork game with Eric White later on this evening on Radio Foyle as well. 8:41 now. The president of the teaching union, the INTO, has described funding cuts to local schools in disadvantaged areas as disgraceful. We learned yesterday that the Department of Education has written to principals to inform them that funding for the extended school scheme, which provides extra support for pupils and families, will cease by the end of June. This affects potentially over 70 schools in Derry City and Strabane. Let's talk to Dorothy McGinley now, president of the INTO. Good morning to you, Dorothy. Dorothy, thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call this morning.
Dorothy, can you tell us about the extended school scheme, what it did, what did the money go towards?
I suppose, you know what, this morning there's very, very little laughter and much less songs in our schools this morning as teachers wake up to the severity of yesterday's extended schools programme cut. This programme, I suppose, has been in existence since 2006, 17 years. It's been the heartbeat of so many schools in the Strabane and Derry areas. And now with the cut, it's going to have a devastating effect on so many of our children. I mean, the programme, it's called the Extended Schools Programme. It's aimed to address social disadvantage. I suppose the programme, in essence, benefited thousands of children and families, you know, right across the northwest, the Strabane and Derry areas. And these were families who were actually in the most deprived areas, I suppose, in the north. And for us in our schools, it offered a variety of resources and benefits for children. From the breakfast clubs coming in the morning, children were provided, you know, a nourishing hot breakfast. And for many of these children, it was a lifeline for children coming to school who may have been hungry, and it set them up for the day. And in many of our schools, they used extended schools money to provide speech and language therapy. That's now axed, that's gone. The wraparound service that was provided in the afternoons in terms of after-school clubs, homework clubs, I suppose IT clubs and sports clubs, they are all axed. All of these are axed. 75% of this will happen now right up to June, and as of 1st of September, it'll be completely gone. And this is actually going to impact on our children and our teachers in our schools, and also for parents who actually probably use this as a way of continuing, maybe if they were actually in their work, in the afternoon, and knowing that the children were looked after, and safe places. But that's what the reality is of these cuts. And
has the Department of Education offered a fulsome explanation as to why this money is, in their words and in what they said in the statement, no longer available?
No longer available. You know what? Yesterday's email is very, very ironic. I mean, at the end it said that they were a department that were raising aspirations and supporting learning and empowering improvement. That's what their line is. That's actually where it came from. And I suppose these fine words that they're telling us, butter no potatoes, forwards reality for teachers in our schools and the children that we have. So no, they have given us no line. It's actually a part of a series of cuts. I mean, they seem to be actually.
But is it not part of the bigger picture that the department, I suppose, to be fair to them in some ways, they haven't received their confirmed budget allocation?
They haven't conceded, that is correct, but they are also telling us that we have to find £300 million of cuts in the next 2 years, right up until 2024. So this is the reality now for our teachers on the ground. Every 2 weeks now, since the beginning of March, we have been getting notification in our schools of a series of cuts that's happening. 2 weeks ago, we actually lost the Engage programme, which was a fantastic programme that was offered to children who are actually needing remediation coming out of COVID. Out of that, we lost 471 teachers. Many of these teachers actually got a day's notice. All their jobs are gone, and the children's education is greatly impacted on that. 2 weeks ago too, with the Happy Healthy Minds has gone, axed to me immediately.
Just on a final point, Dorothy, there was some of our local school principals, one actually I saw tweeting last night just saying that he despaired now of the situation. Where is this headed? What's your fears going forward?
I understand that, because I actually was speaking to a principal yesterday who told me that he was talking to 3 principals yesterday in the Northwest that said that they were just ready to, hang their boots off and to walk away. I mean, they're actually, the lack of action at government level is absolutely despicable. I mean, the principals and the school leaders that we have in our schools now are waiting with trepidation. What else is going to happen now in the next couple of weeks? Are we actually going to get cuts in SEN funding? And then how will schools be able to plan for the sound and regulation framework? It's school budgets. This is actually going to be coming on board. Reductions will be due to the high inflationary situation that we have. So principals are going to be forced to make very, very, very hard decisions in the next couple of months, and in September. Teachers will be gone. Our class sizes will be higher, and we're going to be having a problem in recruitment and retention.
Okay.
And it's really a sad day for actually education right across the Northwest.
Thank you, Dorothy. We will speak again, I'm sure. Dorothy McGinley, President of INTO, speaking there. And in a statement, the Department of Education said it was making about 2.2 million available to schools, or so schools rather, could continue to offer support paid for by the scheme until the end of the school year in June. Its letter also said that the department recognised how disappointing this is for everyone involved in the delivery of this long-standing programme, and for the young people and families who have benefited from its support over many years.
Right, it's our last breakfast show. We'll get a last look at the weather with Cecilia Daly. How are we looking for the weekend ahead, See?
Do you know, the Northwest will be one of the drier places this weekend compared to the rest of Northern Ireland. So today is obviously a gorgeous day, lots of sunshine, warmer than yesterday despite the breeze. Temperatures up to about 18 degrees, which is well above the average for this time of year. Now, it will be cooler and cloudier tomorrow. We're looking at highs of 14, but it looks like, apart from the odd shower, it will be largely dry. Cooler again though on Sunday, maybe 9 or 10 degrees, and there'll be a wind coming straight in off the sea, so it will feel much cooler. Quite a lot of cloud around, and 1 or 2 showers on Sunday. So yes, things are deteriorating this weekend, but it won't be that wet.
All right, Cecilia, thank you very much indeed. Now, before we go this morning, we know it's all changed from Monday morning, but we just wanted to take a few minutes to thank you, each and every one of you who turn on your radio every morning and trust us to bring you the news that matters to you, and for sharing your stories with us, because as I said earlier, we literally can't do this without all of you. This is the final BBC Radio Foyle breakfast show. From Monday, things are going to look and sound a little bit different. There's some finer details to be worked out on that, but what won't change is our gratitude to you, particularly over the past few months. And we want you to join us again then. We want you to keep telling us all the thousands and many, many untold stories that are still there to be told. For me personally, it's been a privilege. It's just been living out a dream to sit here and present a programme that's a little window out into the world. I've only played a small part in that, but we've tried to bring together some of the highs and the lows of the past 11, 10, 13 years here on the BBC Radio Foyle breakfast programme, from everyone on the team, past and present.
The countdown is underway to the official opening of Derry's new Peace Bridge.
Well, I'm here in my hard hat, my high-vis jacket. The sun is shining, and before me, just yards away, Derry's newest bridge, the Peace Bridge, looking absolutely majestic in the early morning sunlight.
Final preparations are underway to mark the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday.
The Peggy for Bloody Sunday was just a great mother, and after Bloody Sunday we lost that mother. We lost her.
It's just unthinkable that as we stand here looking at it, Lough Swilly, that we're talking about this type of tragedy. It's just absolutely unthinkable and heartbreaking.
The tragedy happened at around 7:30 yesterday evening when the vehicle entered the water.
I explained to saying there's a car in the water and there's a family in it, and it's going to be sinking, and we need anybody and everybody as quick as you can, as quick as you can, as quick as you can. It was harrowing and heart-rending. I don't want to go into detail on it.
I am in Liverpool. The excitement at the minute is just unbelievable.
I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the competition to be the first UK capital of culture is Derry, London, Derry.
Let's have a listen now to 83-year-old Rachel Montgomery. She was driving her car. She was on her own on the Victoria Road when she ended up stranded.
And I was sitting there, my heart thumping, and then this angel drew up beside me, put down the window and asked me, could she help me?
Market has been wonderful and really looking forward to the spectacle on the walls now. You've really enjoyed it, haven't you?
I really have enjoyed it.
A 29-year-old journalist has been shot dead during rioting in Cregan.
Her friends realised what had happened. There was screaming, there were people in hysterics, there was crying, there was people over trying to get her out from that area because the pop sort of sound of gunfire was still happening.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, it is 7 o'clock. Welcome to the Breakfast Show on Friday the 31st of January, the day the UK leaves the European Union. I'm Elaine, McGee, near the Strabane border.
I'm Anna Curran, live in Brussels.
I'm just going to push my way into the centre of the scrum. Good morning, you're live on BBC Radio Foyle. Can I just ask who you are and how you're feeling?
I'm Belinda DeLucy and I'm feeling overwhelmed with emotion.
Every one of them people there. We're going through it again.
Yeah.
That's just a flavour of the exchanges at Ballycolman Estate yesterday in Strabane when the Infrastructure Minister, John O'Dowd, paid a visit to flood-hit residents.
Yes, I was lucky enough, Elaine, actually to sneak inside the ropes yesterday and to walk up the fairway with Rory McIlroy. You're not supposed to do that, but I found myself whenever a marshal pulled a rope back on the inside, so I stayed quietly.
Of course you did.
It's just been announced within the last few minutes that Derry City and Declan Devine have parted company by mutual consent. The Derry City chairman, you'll excuse me if I'm a wee bit out of breath, I've literally just run down from the newsroom here to the studio.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short,
People in Northern Ireland, the rest of the UK and across the world are marking the passing of Queen Elizabeth II.
Very sad. No, she's been the Queen for a long time and she's a big part of me growing up. That's all I have known.
A reminder that you're listening to a special breakfast show on BBC Radio Foyle to mark the funerals today of former Deputy First Minister Martin McGuinness and Derry City Captain Ryan McBride.
The McGuinness family are very much part of this community. They love this community and Martin would be very proud of how they handled themselves over the last number of days.
Families of two boys who died in Enochloch in Derry last month have thanked the local community for their love, support.
In a joint statement, the families say they drew enormous strength from the sympathy and support they received.
The funeral of John Hume, one of the key architects of the Northern Ireland peace process, will take place later in Derry. Last night, people lit candles at their homes in his memory.
Born in Derry on the 18th of January 1937, John Hume was to become one of the most influential politicians in modern Ireland.
One story dominates this morning's breakfast show.
We could now hope for our children and our grandchildren that they would have a better life than we ever had.
Pat Hume, the wife of the late SDLP leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner John Hume, has died.
Richard O'Reilly here, live in Creeslaw, where 10 people, including 3 children, died in an explosion at the Applegreen service station.
The whole place was deeply shocked as the night went on, but now the shock has kind of gave way to grief,
2010, Clipper first came to Derry. They done a big presentation. I thought, God, that looks fabulous. And so I retired 2019. I thought I'll take the chance and do it. So I done it.
Make your own tea.
Ian McElhenney plays the one and only Granda Joe on Derry Girls, and he believes the secret of the show's success is that it tells a different story about Derry.
There's great heart, there's great energy, there's great fun, there's great life in the thing. I think it'll be amazing. I really do.
I just hope you do well and try your best, and that's all you can do, try your best.
That's it. That's a great message. Red and White Army?
Red and White Army.
We really do care about each other. We fall in and out, but we care about what we do so much as well. The best thing about Derry in the Northwest is there's such a rich tapestry here of people and talent, as we see here tonight. There's so many stories to tell. How do you follow that? Oh, it's been quite the journey we've been on together. Do you know, when I moved to Derry, I didn't know where the Guildhall was. And today I have my own Derry family now, and it's just been some journey, hasn't it? I'll be honest with you all now, I haven't been looking forward to this day, and it hurts that it ends here. It's hard to let go. But we are so proud of this show, and we are so grateful to you, and we feel really privileged that we as a team have been lucky enough to tell your stories and cover the issues that are important to your life, because they're important to our lives as well. The biggest thing we want to say this morning is thank you. Thank you for all your support, especially since November. It has just meant the world and got us through some really tough times. Thank you for always being there and enabling us to have the best job in the world, because it is the best. But above all, thank you for listening to us, for trusting us, for choosing us and letting us into your life. I hope we have been a friend for you like you have been to us. You are all the best, as is this city and this region. And this might sound a bit gaggy, but I do believe that the connection local radio creates with its listeners is magic. It is magic, and we may be meeting in a different way from here on in, but magic and connection like ours can't be cut. Nobody can take that away, and I promise you your voice will always matter here on Radio Foyle. Now, there's only one song we could leave you with today, so we will say goodbye for now, and for the last time from the BBC Radio Foyle Breakfast Show team, good morning.